What's up, Internet? You're tuning in episode 65 of the Steam Deck podcast, a weekly video game podcast all about Valve's portable PC powerhouse, the Steam Deck. I'm your host, Pete and Bessie, joined as always by my very good friends and co hosts, Mr. Stephen Radford
Hello, hello.
and Mr. Max Wright.
Ahoy, ahoy. Very, very quick, very brief handbrake. I noticed you spelt Stephen's name wrong in the intro, and I heard it as you said it. So can you please spell his name correctly
Mm.
as you say
Yeah,
it?
it's Stephen with a PH. It's pronounced
Stephen.
Stephen.
Mr. Stephen Radford.
Stephen Radford, thank you. Continue.
This got to be the quickest handbrake of all time. You hit that handbrake. We had barely got to the 30-second mark yet. That's a new record for you, my guy.
I
But,
just I like to look after my friends, you know?
Yeah, I appreciate it. That's why we keep you around. But speaking of handbrakes, I have not experienced a worse traffic situation when trying to buy a product than I did today when trying to grab their OLED Steam Deck. As of recording today, pre-orders have just gone live about an hour ago. So happy OLED Steam Deck Day to all who celebrate. I hope you got your pre-orders in because I did not.
Well, you're going for the special edition, right? And that's what's making it harder for you because I'm still
Yep.
looking at one in my shopping cart, waiting for me to maybe go forward with it. But would you not want to just get the normal one? Are you locked in on that special edition?
I feel a little burnt by my experience today, and it's kind of like left a sour taste in my mouth, if I'm honest, where
Ah.
it's like, it's not like I'm out on the OLED totally, but it's like I was there at literally 12:59, refreshed on the
Me
number,
too, yeah.
was ready, got it in the cart. Like I was like, oh, this is amazing. I got a text from my friend Jack, who's a big Steam Deck fan, and he sent me his confirmation like at 101, right? Like he's like,
Mhm.
I got it, great. I was like, amazing. I'm already through. This is gonna take 2 seconds. And then since then, right? We're now an hour and 20 minutes past that point, still have it in my cart, have refreshed
Damn.
it hundreds of times, and have encountered multiple different errors, whether that was the page timing out, whether that was it not allowing me to put in my personal information that is supposed to be saved in your Steam account anyway to make checkout quicker. It would sometimes be there and filled out. Sometimes I would have to fill it out manually. And sometimes it would let me get through to the next page to try to choose, my payment method. More often than not, it would time out and say that there was an error and you could try again. It's been listed as out of stock between 5 or 6 times in the last hour. This is bar none the worst experience I've ever had pre-ordering a product.
Did your mate send over
Apart from
his?
Ticketmaster, right? Because that is the most garbage website ever.
Oh
It's
yeah,
got to be
fair.
better than a Ticketmaster
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah, right, and that's a whole other conversation. If you want me to get up on Ticketmaster, bring that up on an After Dark One More Thing type episode, and I'll talk all about it. But yeah. I mean, it's that level of bad though, right? Like I showed up, money in hand, and like again, I went through the process of double checking to make sure that all my stuff was ready for autofill, that my payment methods were saved. I had it open on multiple browsers. I had the app open. I went through the whole song and dance you're supposed to go through. I was ready, and I just was unlucky. And like
What's
that,
the deal now though? Is it still out of stock? Like, can you check out? Like,
I
because
mean, you
I
can.
eventually managed to do it in the app. The website was garbage. It logged me out multiple times, and like it would force me to log back in. And then
Yep,
because
that
of
happened
like
to me
Steam
too.
Guard, it's like you've got to go and get your phone and use the app and like try and scan the thing and like do all of this shit. That was annoying and frustrating as hell. And then I had the same experience as you. Like I get through to the like payment, the shipping details, and either it wouldn't get through that page or it would get through that page. Then I get to the payments. Then it failed because it needed like verification from my bank and it didn't give me a
Uh-huh.
link for that. And like I was like, did it take the money? Like, did it take the payment? Did the order go through? Like I have no idea. And yeah, it was not a great experience. But
No,
That was my experience of buying my original Steam Deck. Was
mine too.
I was just like, "What is going on? Is it going through? Is it not gone through?" And I just really just didn't know if I'd got this thing that I would, you know, given an access to buy. But
and here's the differentiator in my mind, right? Because we were talking about this in the Discord, and I kind of remarked on that. I was like, it's really surprising to me that they were so unprepared for this, given that I think that they did a really good job with the wait list the first time around. Granted, day of, the store was crashing. It was a nightmare. It was similar to this. You would hope that they would have expected something similar this time around. Clearly, they were not, I think, prepared for the limited edition to be as popular as it was, which to me seems like a mistake, right? But beyond that, it identifies a problem I have with limited edition uh, items like this in general, which is I do not understand why these companies hate money. Because if you're going to make a limited edition product like this, right, you're going to pay to do a run of it. And they said ahead of time, right? They posted about it on Twitter that this is they are already printed, they already exist, they have a finite number of them, and when they're gone, right?
Yeah, so the exact wording on that tweet was, "We see the limited edition model as an experiment, both in terms of learning on how to pull it off as well as gauging customer demand."
And they also specifically said, I shared this one in the Discord as well. They
That it's
said,
yeah, it said it will not go into reservation mode.
thank
Production
you.
is complete for this limited run, and once they sell out, they will be gone. We hope you like them. If there's high demand, we'll have more confidence to do an additional colorway option in the future.
Great. That's stupid. And this is not a unique to Valve problem. I was lambasting PlayStation for this a couple weeks
Mhm.
ago when I was unable to get the PS5 Spider-Man 2 cover. And it's just like, why do you hate money? Right? Like I understand that
No, they just hate your money.
I guess, right? But again, right? It's like, don't get me wrong. I understand why exclusivity exists, why you do limited runs of products. That's not what I'm criticizing. I'm not saying that you need to make this available indefinitely to me. However, you announce this limited edition product. There's clearly interest in it. Rather than printing a finite amount in advance and having a absolute max amount of profit that you can make, why don't you open up pre-orders, let anybody who wants a pre-order get a pre-order, and then print them and then never print them again? You
You just
still
gotta wait
maintain
sometimes.
exclusivity and you still create an event, you still create that artificial scarcity, and you can have your nice little jump in profit and take full advantage of why people make limited edition, limited run stuff like this. And also, you can maximize the amount of copies of it that you sell. It doesn't make this a less cool thing if there are 2,000 of them versus 1,000 of them, right? Like, it's still a limited thing that you either got when it came out or you didn't. And that's
Mhm.
what makes these things special. So for me
Look,
to
Pete,
be there for an hour in the cart with my card refreshing and to walk away empty-handed just because I was unlucky, that feels bad. That stings. And like as someone who's an enthusiast and who wanted to have this specific limited edition version to have the first one they made, that burns, you know, and it sucks
mhm.
that like they didn't give me a chance to get on a wait list. They didn't give me a chance to maybe get early access as an early Steam Deck
You know what? That's something I would
owner.
really like to have seen them do. Like, if you had a Steam Deck, if you're on your Steam Deck, why could we not do like a join the queue or getting the queue thing?
I mean, first
Maybe
right
give
of
us a day
refusal.
early or something.
Something. You know, it's anything like that, any little consolation or wiggle room to make it easier for people that want to support your product to support your product. It's frustrating to me that at 2023, after so many examples of this being a problem, right? Whether it was the last gen consoles, whether it was the first Steam Deck, like you know that this is going to happen. They took steps to limit scalpers and everything. Great, but you didn't
I
account for the
wonder
fact
if
that your
that's
store
part
was
of the
gonna
problem.
crash.
I think that maybe that's part of the problem, that the systems they put in place, because they tweeted that they were putting systems in place to kind of mitigate bots and scalpers and things like that. I wonder if that was just being too aggressive and was just like
Crash the store?
banning people who had refreshed the page too much and like basically rejecting those orders. But I feel your pain, Pete, because we didn't even get the option in the UK. Outside
Yeah,
of
we
the US
didn't.
and Canada, we could not even buy the limited edition
And, like,
model, and
what's
that's
up
the
with
one I
that?
wanted.
What's up with that? Right? Like, open pre-orders, every region, sell them. That's it, you know? It's like, again, this is not a unique to Valve problem. I don't mean to, like, lambast them like they're the first people to ever screw this up, but it's like, given how much praise we heaped on them for like how good the queue system was, that it's like, hey man, just get in line. When we got one, we'll give it to you. It's really frustrating to see them fumble the bag here.
That queue
And
system though, like, you weren't I don't know if you were tempted to get one day one because I know you ended up
I
snagging
jumped the queue,
Mango's
yeah, from
pre-order,
Mango.
right? That system was a nightmare. Like to get in that queue at the beginning, it took a long time for
Sure.
people to refresh the pages and get in the queue. It was a similar experience to this because you still had to make a payment, you still had to get through. I had my stuff rejected similar amount of times.
But,
I
like,
think it took me
imagine
half an hour to get through this time.
Oh,
Last
wow.
and
time I managed to
Just
get
for the
in 10
basic
minutes.
one? Just for the basic OLED,
Yes.
and, like,
model?
not
Wow.
to discount that, right? Like, that was still a subpar experience, and I think that, like, they should try to improve that for sure. However, like, in this instance, since we knew that that was how it played out the first time around, if they had just given us, like, "Hey, pre-orders for this are gonna start 1 PM, your local time," right? Or for me anyway, that's when it was. And they're going to be open for 48 hours, right? Or they're going to be open for 24 hours. You have until then to get it in. You could just wait, right? Because it'd be like everybody's rushing and it's crashing and there's this influx. Yeah, but if you do it in the middle of the night or the next morning or whatever, you'll just get on the list. And yeah, you'll be at the end of it, but like you know that you were going to get the product that you wanted. And I don't
What's
mind waiting. I don't mind being, in the queue for it if I'm getting it. But now, me, somebody who like I do a Steam Deck podcast and I wanted to have the special limited first run OLED and like have it as like a thing that when the Steam Deck gets retired, I can put it up on the shelf. And it's like I missed out on that. And I'm not gonna go
is it
buy
is
a
it
second
out
one.
of stock now? Like, if you go to
Yeah.
steamdeck.com, it's gone?
Yep. And it keeps oscillating. They keep saying, oh, it's in stock, it's back out of stock, but I can't check out. Right. And it's like I got it
Could
open.
you have a quick look and see if the other models are in stock in the States? Because I'm looking at the page now, and it's 3 to 5 business days across the board for all of the models, the LCD and the 2 OLED models we've got in the UK. And I was quite surprised by that. We're an hour and a half after
Yeah, I'm
after
shocked that
orders
they
have
still do it.
opened up, and they're not sold out. Like, I
Well,
presumed that
they did
these were
say
just gonna
that
fly out.
they did say that they were very confident in the numbers that they had that they wouldn't sell out, and that once they hit the point where they do, they'll start a queue system. So I mean,
Mhm.
I think it's likely that maybe in the next day or two we do get an announcement like, "Hey, we've sold out and the queue is starting now if you want to get one." Um, but I mean, it doesn't seem that way right now, right? Based on
Yeah.
what I can see. And as I said, right, like I keep opening it, and right now it's saying that it's in stock, right? Like when I look at it, but as soon as I go to the purchase for myself, it's giving me the out of stock error. So,
Oh, okay, that sucks.
I
and
know
I've
what'll make
gotten
you feel
different ones,
better.
right? Like sometimes it lets me get all the way to the end, and then it times out, but it's like it's never gotten me anywhere near the processing section.
I know what'll make you feel better.
What you got?
What your friend sent over to you, where he showed you his order, was his order number in it? Cancel it, man. Just cancel it.
No, that doesn't do anything.
That'll make you feel so much I don't know what happened, man.
Just
That's
hi hi hi
so sad
hi,
for you.
Gabe. The address on this order is wrong. Can you please send it
Yeah,
here instead?
just
That
cancel
that
it,
would be
man.
that would be the move if you were gonna
Drag him down with you. It's not enough that you should be sad, others should suffer too, you know?
dude, it would be really funny if I did that specifically to him because, back when I was like, "I don't really know if I want the Steam Deck," like, he was, like, "Oh, I can't wait for it," and then I jumped the line ahead of him, and I had it for months before he did, and he was so mad.
Then you should definitely cancel his order. I don't know, like, this sounds like a person that needs some comeuppance, personally.
Okay, so here's a fun new one that I just ran into. That same friend who's actually still trying to help me. He sent me a message and said people are trying this. This might work. He said some people are having luck where they're removing it from their cart and then re-adding it, and then it's letting them check out. And I just did that, and it said, "Sorry, we can't remove your item from your cart." It's like,
Oh my god.
what? You can't remove the item from the cart? I'm telling you, man, they fucking broke the store today. It's like
Hmm.
it's so confused as to what's going on.
So what's the deal with you, Max? Are you picking one of these up?
I've got one in my cart right now. There's clearly no rush for it. I'm undecided. Because while the benefits are like it's exactly what I want from like a refresh of the Steam Deck. You know, the screen, the extra battery life, the faster Wi-Fi, all of these different things are
Fan?
exactly what I want. Um, and I can see myself enjoying it. When I think about it practically, though, which I know is not what we usually do, I haven't actually used the Steam Deck properly for like a little while now. I've used it sort of here and there, and I'm going to be using it a lot for what we're going to talk about, towards the end of the show. Um, but and I can see myself using it a lot going forward in that way. I don't know if right now I could justify to myself upgrading the screen when that's not what I'm going to be using a lot at the moment, and there's not like a general
Yeah.
performance boost for me in other ways.
So would you consider like say swapping out the SSD for example? Because I looked at it from you do all these things when you're trying to justify it in your mind as to
Hmm.
spending hundreds
Sure
of
do.
pounds after you spent the hundreds of pounds last year on the same device, and it was like, well, I was going to upgrade the SSD in this anyway. That would have cost me like 60 quid. I would have had to then swap it out
Oh,
and do
I've
all of
I've done
that.
all the bargaining, mate. I've done all the bargaining. I'm like, well, if I
Yeah.
sell this, then I sell this, and I just like it's really only £20 to have the Steam Deck OLED model. If I just do that, but then when I think about, because I'm looking at it now and I'm like, you ugly piece of shit. Why don't you have a lovely OLED screen? Why are you point 0.4 inches? No, yeah, point 0.4
It's that
inches
it's that
smaller. Like all of the suddenly this is disgusting to
it's
me now.
that Toy Story meme where
Yeah.
he's dropped, "I don't
Yeah.
wanna
I don't want
play
to
with
play
you
with you
anymore."
anymore.
Can't drop it in case I sell it, to buy an OLED, but yeah, I
Oh,
really want it. Um,
guys, I got a new error dropped. I'm at the pay with PayPal screen, and it just keeps having me log in
Hey,
here
that's good
now.
though. That's progress.
that's yeah,
Try
now you're the next
PayPal was
step.
a nightmare for me. I gave up with it, and I ended up having to use my card. Wouldn't let
Not
me
to
use PayPal.
rub it into Pete, but I do really like the special edition. I really like the,
Oh, you really
no,
like it?
yeah, no,
Thanks.
I like it. I think I really like the red bits. I really like just the clear, because clear plastic is what a lot of people strive for. Oh, no, he's gone to kick off. Um,
It looks like the smoky plastic they call it, don't they?
mm,
Smoky translucent colorway. It reminds me a lot of the Switch Pro controller, which I think is really
yeah.
cool.
It'd be
And
nice to
but
have it all sort of together and looking nice and things. I
yeah,
think
but with those orange accents, it really just like sets it
really
off.
nice. I still think that for me, the only sort of piece of Steam Deck hardware they would convince me to buy now, like without even thinking about it, no hesitation, I don't have to justify it to myself, is the Steam controller too. That's the only thing that's
Yes,
sort of
yeah.
getting me. And I think the fact that they've released this OLED has now got me really in the mood for a Steam controller too. One thing I would like to point out, uh am I right in saying that 3.5 that, has the all of the new, color options hasn't actually gone on to stable yet, right?
That's correct. So we had a question about this from Cold Soul, and they said, "Do you think SteamOS 3.5 is finally going to go into the stable channel with the release of the OLED deck?"
Do you
And I
think
can tell
that
you, it will.
oh, that's good news. Do you think that the reason that they added these new sort of color things into 3.5 was so that the, old users could sort of still feel bent? They knew the OLED was coming out, so they thought, "Okay, let's just buff it up," or do you think it's just a
It's a
coincidence that they were.
happy accident, Max.
Yeah.
So they had to do a lot of work to get HDR support in there, and in order to do that, they had to work with the color space stuff. And so it was like, well, we might as well add these sliders in because we've added the options for all the color stuff in there and HDR support. So I kind of feel like it was a happy accident.
Mhm.
But having said that, it does look significantly better in 3.5. There was actually a regression this week in in the preview channel, in that they accidentally removed the color stuff.
Oh.
And they put out an update called the OLED update, which broke the color stuff for the LCD model. They then the next day
Oh, I
put out
got that,
an
yeah.
update called the LCD update, which fixed a regression with color management sliders because they accidentally broke it. They've now put out 3.5.4, which is called almost stable. So I think by the time this is out next week, it will be stable because you
Okay.
need 3.5 in order to use the OLED model.
Oh, I see, okay. Oh, that's perfect then. One thing I would like to or one, I would like to say a quick prayer for, Deck HD, who I'm pretty sure only really launched the HD screen, what, like, a few weeks ago, if that?
Yeah.
Pour one out
So
for him.
that's yeah, that's a company just dead in the water pretty immediately, but, and I'm
Yeah,
sure
like
people that
why would
bought
you
it.
spend a couple of hundred quid to buy one of those now
Yeah.
and take the 120 screws out or whatever it was to
Yeah.
tear down your entire deck, put the screen on, and then flash a custom BIOS?
Mhm.
when you could sell your deck
And
and
then
upgrade for
update it
another
every
100.
single time
Yeah.
that they update the BIOS
Yeah.
Yeah.
and hope that they never go out of business. And
Because when you think about it, if you sell your Steam Deck and you sell a few other things, the Steam Deck is basically they're giving you money to have a Steam Deck OLED. That's
Yeah.
what I'm telling
Yeah.
myself right now. Is that it's actually it's not even
it's
not even
great.
free.
Max is
I'm
like, my
actually
kidney's
spending
gone.
money.
Like,
Yeah. Why do you think I
That's
shaved all my hair off? Because I've sold my hair.
see, that's what I'm saying, man.
Don't worry, Steve. The
I
hair will
think
be
you're
with
making a
you
lot of
in a
sense.
couple of weeks, by the way.
Good, I do need it.
I
Sorry,
think you're
Pete.
making a lot of sense here
I'm making a lot of
because
sense.
you know we're like we do this show, right? So like technically, I was paid to get it, right?
Yeah. Oh,
So
interesting. I have
this
had a
brings
quick
up this
update.
oh,
Just
carry on, Max.
just a quick update of I have I've been saying it's been sitting in my thing and it hasn't really gone out of stock. What has happened is the estimated delivery date has gone from 3 to 5 days to 6 to 10. It's doubled
We
the
got it, boys! We
Oh, there we
got it!
go.
Yeah, baby!
God,
Woo!
we need a warning for we just need a warning, man. That's a
Yeah,
jump scare.
yeah. That's just
I saw your face,
burst
so I wasn't scared.
someone's
Look,
eardrums.
look, all right? It's fine. We put a compressor on the audio. It couldn't have been that
Yeah,
loud.
okay. Well, I mean, it shocked me a little bit, even though I could see your face. But well done. I'm glad you got it. Now you can shut up
What's
about it, and we can start talking
what's
about
the
the
date
positive
on it?
things.
What's your
Oh
ship
yeah,
date?
I'm glad that I so I wasn't even gonna be on this episode because I didn't think I was gonna make it for work, and I'm glad I made it on just long enough to complain about Valve and this whole process,
yeah,
and then have it go through because that's just the ultimate way for me to get egg on my
yeah,
face.
Mm.
It's
yeah.
pretty good.
Oh, actually, yeah, I love this. This is my favorite episode ever. Now I think about
Yeah,
it.
can we make the thumbnail a photo of Pete, and can you just like crack an egg on your face and get Sarah to take a picture or something?
Yeah,
Yeah,
That'd
yeah,
I'd
be
we can
like
make
great.
to
that
see
happen.
you cover. You've debased yourself in worse ways for the show.
Yeah,
You've climbed in the shower fully clothed.
yeah,
Um,
I've done way worse.
yeah.
I want to keep these questions going because we've been justifying it to ourselves, and the Lager embargo has said, "How do I convince my wife that I need the new OLED deck, even though I've only had the original for less than a year?"
So you got to do some of that boy math, and you sell your original Steam Deck, and you sell some other crap, and you find a way to offload the
Yep.
cost a little bit. I think
Yep.
that's one way to do it. The other way, which is
Pete, is that
my,
your license on screen right now?
did I just flash it?
Yes, you did.
Oh shoot! Okay,
please,
hold on.
please check that before we go.
I don't think it showed up, but I'm gonna make the time go to that. We're gonna make sure I didn't just dox myself.
Don't you live at 123 Steam Deck Lane, right?
Yeah, there we go. Here's the thing: if I didn't dox myself, we'll leave this in, and it'll be a cute little bit. It's time code 22 minutes. Did I dox myself? Question mark. Anyway, so that's one way to do it. I think is to find some compromises where you can like bring down the cost a little bit. Right. That's a good way to start. I think the other thing that you can do is, and this is my personal favorite way to go about this type of bargaining, is identify something that she really wants that's
Wow.
way too much money, and then you just get both, and then you both
Yeah,
win.
Yeah.
perfect.
You know,
Put yourself
look,
in debt.
I'm sure you got it, Largo. Right? You got the money, right? If she said yes, you could afford it, is what I'm hearing. So, yeah, let's break the bank. Spend another $700 and get her something nice.
Yeah, and just look around, see how much these things are selling for. Because at the moment, this is the best time to sell it. The price is only going to depreciate on the LED models going forwards now.
Yeah.
So if you were thinking of an upgrade, I think now's probably the best
Oh,
time to do it.
you're making even more sense. It's going to cost me money if I don't get it now.
Exactly, Matt.
Exactly.
So you need to get it.
Oh,
Yeah. That's
my
exactly the
wallet's
way you got to think about it.
downstairs, Steve.
It's all right. Pete's was upstairs. He went middle of the
I,
episode. Just
I
like
left the
walked off.
show,
True.
Max.
That's true. Yeah, that's my favorite bit of the show actually so far. I'm sorry. That's just very fair.
We got one more question about the OLED model from Chris Trumpeter on Discord. And they said, what's the general consensus from colleagues and friends on whether they will make the jump to this new OLED deck? All of the features make me want to grab it, but it's costly when I bought one little over a year ago. If I bought a PS5, I wouldn't buy a slightly better PS5 a year later. I hate to say it, but I'm going to hold off for Steam Deck 2. The OG deck is a phenomenal machine, and it will give me plenty of entertainment for the next year or two. Plus, plus meant to be a Switch 2 next year. Out of all of the new upgrades to the deck, which one is most important to you, and what feature they still left out do you want to see in a future iteration?
I think that I know for a fact that buying an OLED is a frivolous, not in a negative way, an indulgence, right? For all of us. None of us need there's not enough of a performance booster. There's nothing it does that the current Steam Deck doesn't really do. So it's not like a necessary upgrade or you're missing features or the games won't work. It is purely indulgence. And that's fine because that's who we are as people. We love to do that. I think that hanging on is still a very good idea. Like just because it's the same system, right?
Yeah.
Um I still think the system is great. I still think it's got lots of legs. I still think that Steam Deck 2, even when that comes out, it'd have to be a pretty significant upgrade to be worth doing, you know?
I think Steam Deck 2 is probably not next year. I think it's probably
Yeah,
2025.
yeah, yeah. Well,
And
didn't they mention
They
something
said
about
it's
it
they
mm,
being
said it's gonna be like 2 to 3 years away.
Yeah,
Could be 2026, right?
that's
So it's
fine with me.
like
I'll wait till then.
I think where you're at is like I think you're right, Max. Like it is a frivolous decision, right? But that's the thing, right? It's like the Steam Deck in and of itself is kind of a frivolous purchase, right? I have a gaming laptop and a gaming PC I could play these games on if I really wanted to. A lot of the games I play on there I can play on other platforms, right? So it's like, I think how much you're willing to invest in a hobby and stuff like that is like totally based on what you're getting out of it, right? And I think if I was in your position, Chris, and I didn't do a podcast about the Steam Deck and I didn't have the ability to, you know, bring new talking points to the show and all those things. And if I wasn't an enthusiast that wanted this limited edition model, then yeah, I'd probably do the exact same thing that you're doing, right? Like I historically am not one to go for the mid-gen refresh.
you did for the Switch OLED though, and I think
I
that
did
probably swayed you a little bit here was because of how good that
because of how
screen
much
was,
better
right?
that screen is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was going to say the only other example I have aside from that one was the Spider-Man PS4 Pro, but that was more, again, a collector's item that I
Mhm.
wanted in my collection more so than me feeling like I needed the upgrade. And I think that's what pushed me over here. I think if I hadn't gotten the limited edition just now, I probably wouldn't have bothered.
I mean, I mentioned to you that I wasn't gonna get it, and I
You
and I don't
literally
think I
said to me yesterday, and then
yeah,
you're in the chat today. You're like, "Oh, it's in my cart. I'm trying to get it." I
well,
was like, "This motherfucker, I love you."
you get that FOMO when everyone on Discord is talking about buying
Yeah, you
one, but
do.
also, like, I found, someone who wanted to buy my Steam Deck, so I was able to get, like, a reasonable amount for that, and, I sold a couple of other things, and I've basically covered the cost of it, so it's not really cost me anything out of
That's what
it.
I'm gonna try and
It
do for
covers
you
its own
because
cost because it's free. We
It is
know this.
free.
We
Yeah,
know
it
this.
is.
I definitely recognize this as being one of the dumber, more frivolous purchases I've ever made.
Mhm.
But that's
Yes.
that's where I'm at. That's okay. I'm gonna
But
settle.
I think you thought that about the Steam Deck originally,
Yeah, I
because you
did.
were like, what am I gonna do with this?
How
Like,
often
maybe
am
I'll
I gonna
just
be
play
playing it?
PS2 games on it,
You
but
fool. You fool. Little did you know.
Yeah, that's
I
one of the more wrong public opinions I've ever thrown out there.
As I stare at this in my car, I am now very conscious of the fact that I get on a flight to go on a weekend-long stag do in,
oh.
like, 6 or 7 hours. So, actually, maybe I shouldn't buy it just yet. Maybe I'll see if there's, like, if they do go out of stock, if there's a restock maybe next month. But maybe right now when I'm about to go and spend all the money I have in another
Here's the
country
thing.
isn't the best time.
Another thing that definitely pushed me over was when I didn't get it earlier, I literally was like, "Fuck this. I'm done. I'm not gonna try anymore. I'm
Mhm.
giving up." And then when I had the chance and then, like, I was like, "Oh, I'm really disappointed." Like, I'm upset, And it's like, "All right. I guess I really did want it, right? Oh, well."
The good thing about, me going away for the weekend is also that I might get drunk enough to just buy one anyway while I'm away,
That's my boy. That's my fucking boy right
So
there. Do it.
we'll see next week, won't we?
We'll see you next week.
Oh
Do you
shit! Quick handbrake. I've just seen that.
You get one per show. One per
Mate,
show.
this is a good handbrake. I've just seen that you can get Hades and Elden Ring and Vampire Survivors and Dead Cells and Persona 5 opening screens for the Steam Deck. When did
you
that
can.
happen?
Yeah, they got added today, and I just got
Oh,
60,000 new points for buying another Steam Deck, so I need to spend them on
I
something.
have
I
so
That
just bought
puts
them
many.
me
all.
now at, like, 200,000 points I've
Bloody
got in my
hell!
account, and I
Yeah,
don't
me
use them
too.
for anything. Yeah.
I just
We
bought them all.
also we also saw remember I spoke to you off mic, Pete, about when, there was teasers of an announcement coming, and it turned out it was the OLED deck, from, Joshua Ashton, and I thought it was going to be a Half-Life announcement.
Yeah.
Turns out all that was they've made Half-Life free to own on Steam to celebrate the 25th anniversary of that game, and I
Nice.
cannot believe that game is 25 years old.
Yeah, I mean, we're
I
old,
can. I
so
can.
yeah, time marches on.
That it does. That it does.
All right. So any I mean, obviously we're gonna have more to talk about in a couple weeks here when our decks show up,
When
Steve.
all
But
three of our
any
decks arrive.
Mine
Yeah.
should be here in 3 to 5 days, so hopefully next week I'll be able to talk about it.
okay, nice.
Until then, I'm going to be crying without having a Steam Deck to play on.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, forgot about
Gosh, you'll just have to play some of your other consoles. Oh
I
no.
know. No, but the thing is, I was like right in the
Go play
middle of
Tears of the Kingdom.
of
Go finish Tears of
American
the Kingdom right now.
Arcadia. Yeah, I probably should play Tears of the
This
Kingdom.
is your chance.
Yeah. Or maybe I'll pick up one of those games we spoke about on Nintendo Noise this week, Backpack Hero.
Yeah,
I liked the look of
that'd
that
be
one.
good. That'd be really good. Love that. Well, all right. I guess we'll talk about this one in the weeks to come when we got something to talk about. Maybe we'll do a little unboxing on the show or something like that
Yeah.
when my my limited edition shows up.
And
But
and then you can issue the formal apology to Valve for
that.
lambasting them at the top of the show.
look, once I have it in my hands, I'll say sorry. That's cool. We could do that. All right. Here's the thing, Valve. As the co-hosts of the Steam Deck, I just feel like maybe you could have hit up the Steam Deck podcast and been like, "Do you guys want some OLED decks?" And I'd pay for it, but you could just you send me a private link so I could just get in there. Could at least save me one.
Yeah,
That's kind of
when are we getting that brand deal, man?
I know. It's like, look, I'm not to be pushy or anything, but I'm just
Oh, I'm being very pushy.
good. Thank
Intentionally
you.
so.
Good, you do that. You put the squeeze on him, Max, and we'll see what we can do for the Steam Deck too. Okay. All right. So that's gonna wrap up our OLED Steam Deck conversation, and we're gonna get into some conversation about Max's experience streaming some games to his deck via Moonlight in just a minute here. But before we do that, let me remind you that this episode of the Steam Deck podcast is brought to you by our Patreon producers for the month of November. They are, of course, Arnold J. Rimmer, Christopher Valence, Earth Visitor, Gabriel Hasselmeyer, aka Asobi, Pilkey, Snackago, Ty the Dude, and Wakahula. Thank you all so much for your support over on patreon.com/flipscreengames. Y'all the real to the real, and we greatly appreciate your support of this and all of our sister shows. If you want to go check out some of those sister shows, if you want to write in and keep the conversation rolling between episodes or get your thoughts read on the air, guess what? You can do all that and much, much more by heading over to flipscreen.games. That's our website where you will find links to do all the things that you can do to engage with us or be a part of the community, however you choose to get involved. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Steam Deck podcast. And yeah, we're back to the show.
It's good to be back.
It's good to be back.
So I
What we
don't.
doing
This
now?
isn't my segment. What do you guys?
Okay.
What do you
Yeah.
guys?
All right. Okay.
Max played a thing. What's up? Give me some deets.
So I recently this week was so let me give you some background. People that listen might have heard me mention in the past that my setup in the old space was that my PC, which I'm on now, was connected to my screen and also to my big 50-inch 4K TV directly next to it. That was sort of opposite my bed. I used to play my games like that. That my Switch, my PlayStation was also connected to that. So basically, my PC was like a big, loud console. I could just play whatever game I wanted on it in the same way that I played anything else. Now that I've moved and I'm in a new house, and I've got more space, the spare room is where the PC lives, and it's where I do my the podcast with you guys. It's where I do some work and things like that on this lovely setup here. The only issue is that if I want to play games on the PC, I have to sit up here in the chair with these screens playing it like that, not the way I wanted to do it. So I thought there's got to be a better way. So I tried using the Steam Deck to use Steam Link, but I was getting some choppy results just because I didn't have a great connection with the Wi-Fi. And it just wasn't really working that well for me. It was sort of like, I could only play Steam games, which I didn't really like. I tried buying HDMI over Ethernet, but that was very expensive. Like we're talking like £200, and I'd have to route an Ethernet cable down. I ended up getting a 15-meter fiber optic HDMI cable and then a 10-meter USB extension lead, so that I could just literally run it to the TV as if it was like the old setup, and the extend or the USB extender was so I could use my controller with the adapter, right? Only issue with that is I had to, every time I was done, wheel up 2 cables up the stairs and hang them up where they hang up, and it was just unsightly and not very good. And I sort of resigned myself to that being the solution, because when I was playing the games, it was no different at all. It just, just didn't seem right. Um, then recently, I sort of heard about Moonlight. I think we've mentioned it many times before, and I've always written it off because of my
We
experience with
have.
Steam Link.
Yeah, Team Linux on Discord swears by it.
Oh, there we go. Then I should have been listening a lot earlier. But yeah, I've always sort of, because of my experiences with Steam Link, and I've just always thought it wouldn't work very well. And also because I'm stuck to just Steam games, I've just never thought about streaming until I tried Moonlight and Sunshine. So Moonlight, I'm pretty sure piggybacks off of what used to be NVIDIA Game Stream. You used to be able to, if you had an NVIDIA GPU, which I don't, you used to be able to stream your games using that. Um, and then Moonlight piggybacked off that to be able to stream it to something else. They've
That's right. So
since.
it was designed for the NVIDIA Shield so
Mhm.
that you could stream from your PC to the NVIDIA Shield. Remember that little controller with like the pop-up screen?
Yes, I remember the Nvidia Shield. Yeah, the precursor to the Switch as well.
What a time to be
Um,
Mhm.
alive, the Nvidia Shield.
mm, then they did Shield TV eventually, right? Which apparently is still a really good.
They did, yeah. My dad used one as a Plex server for a long time.
Yes, yeah, also just a really good option for game streaming too, it seems. But I don't have an NVIDIA GPU, and they've shut down that anyway. So what are my options? Well, I then recently learned about Sunshine, and I was like, okay, cool, this is going to be really complicated for me to set up, but I'll book some evening time and do it. I downloaded Sunshine. I downloaded Moonlight on the Steam Deck. I clicked on one to connect it to the other, and all of a sudden, I'm streaming my PC directly to my Steam Deck, and it was working really well, and it was working like surprisingly well. I'm getting at 1080p or 720p. I was getting
Should be able to
60
hit
FPS.
120 on it as I mean, obviously on the Steam Deck you can only hit 60, but
Yes, yeah,
if
and
you
I'm
got an
like,
OLED deck, Max, you can hit 90.
yeah, well, I mean, like, I'm quite happy with 60 right now because the reason I'm not using it, like, I'm not intending to use it for handheld very much. It's more for the TV downstairs.
Yeah,
Um, so in order to sort of perfect this, I have today I've spent quite a lot of time actually today routing an Ethernet cable. I've been like hammering it into the walls, and I've been sort of trailing around all of the skirting boards and all up over the door frames and things like that. And I managed to get it in. I ran out of pegs halfway down, so I need to buy some more of those. It's just currently just floating downstairs. But still, I plugged it in. I whacked it up to 4K. I whacked the bitrate up to the maximum it could possibly go to, and it is flawless. It is revolutionized how simple it is for me to be able to play these games on the TV. But also now the option for games I can play on the Steam Deck is massive. I can now play anything from the EA app. I can play anything from Epic Games Store without having to download these extra stores. And I've had loads of problems where things just don't work. I'll boot something from the Epic Games Store, it won't properly load. Oh well, that's really annoying. Whereas this just works with anything my PC plays. I've been playing Dead Cells on it. No, I haven't. That's a lie. I'm just looking at the Dead Cells loading screen. Dead Space on it. And
you can use Game Pass, I presume, as well,
and
right?
Game Pass, that's where I was going.
Yep.
This now completely unlocks for me Game Pass on my Steam Deck, which, every time I think of things like Cocoon, Lies of P, Hi-Fi Rush, all these
Yeah.
games that I wanted to play, and I was like, oh well, I guess I'll just have to buy them because I want to play them on the Steam Deck.
You don't have an Xbox?
No, don't need one. Got a
No,
PC.
that's fair. That's fair. Like
Yeah.
that's my solution for it is I've got an Xbox. I stream the
Oh yeah.
Xbox with Greenlight, which is similar to
Yes.
Moonlight. It's Greenlight, and I stream the Xbox to it.
And it's basically the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's working very, very well.
So you're using your Steam Deck on your TV
Steam
to,
Deck docked into the TV.
and that's
Um,
working fine. Like the resolution's okay. You've got it.
So the only problem I'm currently having is that if I have the Steam Deck in 4K, the colors are a bit messed up on the TV. I think I need to work something else up. But 1080p, it's fine. But yeah, it looks great. The resolution's absolutely fine. You can tell it's not one to one. Like it is, you can tell that some of the edges are quite soft and some of the text can be quite hard to read. But when you're playing the game and you're in motion and it's running smoothly, like, it's not distracting. It's not like I'm playing a low resolution version. It's just not as good as running the cable in, right?
Mhm.
Um, but it also means I can play these games in my bedroom or just on the Steam Deck downstairs
In
and
comfort,
not
without
in
having to be where
comfort.
you work, yeah.
Exactly, but also in comfort and also, at a locked 60 frames without me having to mess around with the settings at, like, a decent, um, resolution, 720p, um, it looks fine when you're sort of running it on the Steam Deck, because it's rendering it in 1440p anyway, so it's not like I'm noticing it being, like, actually drastically worse. Um what was I trying to say? Battery life, I now don't have to worry about, playing a game like Elden Ring, for example, for, like, an hour or, an hour and a half, and then having to worry about battery life because it runs for 4 hours because it's basically the
Right.
full battery of the
And I guess
deck.
it's whisper quiet,
Yeah, there's no
cold. Yeah.
fans. Yeah, there's no there it because my PC is doing all the work and I've got a very, fairly capable PC, my specs for anyone that is interested in trying this, I've got a Ryzen 5 3600, and an RX 6700 XT. So not like a 16 gigabytes of RAM, not like an incredible gaming PC, but I'm able to run things comfortably on high settings, in 1440p, which, I'm only really needing it to run in, 1080p or 720p for running on the deck, or I'm comfortably running it in 1440p and then streaming that to my TV.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, this now means that when I play all of the games I want to play, um, on Game Pass, I don't have to worry about not being able to pick them up on my Steam Deck. And the reason I haven't touched my Steam Deck in a while is the games that I've been playing. So Jedi Survivor, and then the Switch games, but they're not going to really be factored in. But Jedi Survivor, I was stuck playing that on my PC because there's no way I was gonna get it to run on deck. Anytime I tried to stream it on deck, the deck would, uh, boot the game up in because I had it as a non-Steam game. It would boot the game up and then quit. And every time I tried to enter it, I couldn't enter it again, but the game would be running on the PC, just not on the Steam Deck. Now with Moonlight, I could have been playing that game the whole time. Um,
So that specific use case is because you bought it on the EA app rather than buying it on
yes,
Steam, right?
yes,
And I'd
yeah, yeah,
imagine this opens up a lot of possibilities for games that won't run on Steam OS because of,
yeah,
like, anti-cheat reasons, like, I'm thinking Destiny 2, for example,
yeah,
that you can't run.
yeah.
You could
Alan Wake
potentially just
too.
stream that over. Yeah, Alan Wake, which obviously we spoke about a couple of weeks ago, is not feasible on the deck. You could
Yeah,
easily pull that over.
yeah. Just so many games now that I can play and will play, all because I'm stupid that I didn't think about this beforehand. I've included some links in that hopefully we're going to include down in the description, maybe, for the link to Sunshine and a link to the guide that I used that helped me set it up, and it was very painless and very good. But I highly recommend it, and I'm sure I'll probably be updating you guys in a few weeks when I use this more regularly. Especially when I'm currently playing through Resident Evil 4. I plan on playing that mostly um, through Moonlight, but I can also play it on the deck if I'm out and about. Uh, in fact, I probably will do that. I've got a flight tomorrow. I probably will take my Steam Deck with me.
So I
Um,
guess that's one question I've got is, does Moonlight only work in your local network? Can you use it outside of the house?
I've tried, and the issue there is my internet. It's not Moonlight. I think it's just my internet not being great. The
But it
Mm.
port
is
forwarding
feasible.
was
If you
it
had,
is
like, a good
feasible.
connection, you could
Oh
do it.
yeah, I had it. I loaded it. And it worked, and I was able to, start playing. It was just so choppy and so slow, and it kept
Mhm.
freezing, and that was due to my connection. However, now that I've got an Ethernet cable plugged into my PC that goes down into the router, there is a good chance now that that'll be better because I've tripled my internet speeds just by doing that on the deck. Sorry, on the PC. So it could be a chance that it does now work better. I'll have to give that a test at some point, but yeah, great, Moonlight, fantastic. I just wanted to sort of blag on that for a little bit really, 'cause,
No, it's
I'm
awesome.
yeah, fantastic.
I'm glad you finally found a solution because the old running an Ethernet cable down the stairs reminds me of pre-Wi-Fi days when we
Mhm.
had, like, a computer upstairs and, like, the internet was downstairs and, like, we'd run this ginormous yellow cable
Yep.
up the stairs, and then we got Wi-Fi and it was like, "Wow, okay, this is, like, next gen."
It was very much like that. At the time I was like, "I'm gonna play Jedi Survivor," and I would trudge upstairs and I would get the wheel of cable that I had, and I would run it downstairs. I'd set up a load of hooks in strategic points over, like, doors and
Mhm.
downstairs to hook it all on, and then I'd be like, "Okay, that was a fun couple of hours," and I'd sort of Kat said it was like I was working in the mines. It'd be like, right, let's go to bed, and I'd be like, hey ho, get the cable, hey ho, bag it away, getting it
Do you
all
wanna hear the
away.
most fucking 1980s shit ever? So the house that I grew up in was built, excuse me,
Born.
in, the house was born in the, like, mid to late '80s. I think it's, like, '86, '87. And, when we moved in, one of the, like, things that they were, like, advertising as being a feature was that they had already drilled a hole through the floor and run Ethernet through the whole house.
Oh
So, like,
wow.
the room I grew up in, like, had a wire run through all of the walls,
That's
and you could
awesome.
just plug it right in, and it was, like, amazing, and it
Oh
was, like,
yeah.
in retrospect, it's like, actually, it was a pretty good,
Oh
like,
yeah, I'd love that.
talking point as a feature at the time, right? But when we moved in, I was like, "You're advertising that you drilled a hole in the floor? Good for you." And then it's like,
I
"Oh wait, Xbox Live. This is really important. Never mind."
I wish I could drill a hole in this house. The room I'm currently in is somehow I tried to track where I would if I was to drill up and go through, it somehow through into next door and then upstairs. I don't know how it's like the houses are like Tetrised on. It's like they're the little like the Z piece and I'm like a little L piece that's hooked on top of it. If that makes any sense
Okay.
to anyone. It's quite confusing, but it's like I'm in a different house and I was like, there's no way I'm gonna work this out. I managed to route it quite nicely. It looks fine, it looks great.
What you should
Um
have done, Max, is just knock on the door next door and say, "Can I just drill through and, like, go
yeah.
into your router? Would that be alright? Like,
Yeah.
use your internet for
I'd probably
free?"
get better speed. Thing is, now I've done this, now my complete downstairs, I was happy with how everything's set up downstairs. I've got, my media server plugged in down there and all this sort of stuff, and my drives are all down there, my network drives. Now I've got this Ethernet up here. I'm like, oh, why don't I just put the switch, my get network switch up here and then just completely change the way I've got everything set up. So it's opened a can of worms for me in terms of what I'm gonna do. Um,
Next up, Max, get a Pi hole running in your house. That's my suggestion for you. Get one of
well,
those up, it'll change your life.
I was thinking glory hole first, but I don't really have
Yeah.
cooked pies
That
often enough to need a
that's
pie
drilling that's
hole.
drilling the hole in
Yeah,
the
that's
in the
true.
wall.
Yeah.
So he said that, and I like wasn't I was like half tuned in, and I heard that, and I was like, and I had a moment where I'm like, is that a tech thing that I've not
No,
heard
no, it's
of,
not,
or is
no.
It
There
it
is a
is.
bar in the UK called Glory Holes, though. You play
Yeah.
mini golf. It's really great. It's really
Yeah, yeah,
fun.
yeah. It's a port, for interfacing, P2P. Um,
Just
that's
stop,
what a glory
Max.
hole
Just
is.
stop.
I'm just all right. Is that the note I'm ending this episode on? I don't know if I'm comfortable with that, but
Too
I don't
late.
know where I
Too
go
late.
from here.
We're already overrunning,
All
so it's too
right,
late.
I'm
You're gonna
trying
have
to
to
pull
end
this
it.
plane up, everybody, but I think we're crashing. So we're gonna that's where we're gonna wrap this week's episode of the Steam Deck podcast. If you want to write in and let us know your experience getting an OLED Steam Deck, whether you plan on picking one up down the line, whether you're gonna wait for Steam Deck 2, or your experiences with Moonlight and what other cool things we should be trying out with our Steam Decks. Definitely write in and let us know. Remember, you can do all that and much more by heading over to flipscreen.games. That's our website where you will find links to our Discord, our email address, a bunch of ways you can get in touch, keep the conversation rolling between episodes, or join the community. However you choose to get involved or show your support, we thank you for tuning in for another episode of the Steam Deck podcast. For the crew, I've been Pete. He's been Steve. I can't look Max in the eyes. We'll see you next week.